Hello everyone. Today in this video we're going to look at Unit 12, Drawing Organization. And if you look at your class pack, we have a couple of headings. The draw commands, we have a circle, tangent, radius, and then we have a polygon. We have done those two in the previous videos because you had to pretty much create those for your geometric construction exercise, but we'll do a quick review of those so that you know how to properly use them on your assignments for this unit 12. We will also we'll be looking at the main topic of this unit, which is layers. Okay, so we're gonna do some organization of our drawing so that we can keep each one of our projects organized, and then we'll look at some of the status bar options as well. We will have our object snap tracking and our line weight that we will be able to see as we work on our exercises. So let us begin. Okay, so what we're going to look at today, the first and most important thing is it's going to be right here on our ribbon on our home tab, and then our ribbon right here at the middle. There's something called layers. As of right now, you have been creating some drawings and just happen to start writing, writing because you have added your name as well, but you start drawing something. And if I just go and draw any given line right here and just click any starting point, so line, I go right here, my lines start appearing right here. Okay, and so we have random number of lines right here going in random direction, and they're white, and that's it. We don't know where the lines come, we don't know how we get them there, we just know that they get created. You have by now created several assignments with lines that they just happen to appear when you go and you select the line command right here. I can go and say circle. I can make a circle, and there's a circle that appears right here. I can go and make an arc, a 3-point arc or something, put it there. I can go and create a rectangle, put it there, and so forth. You get the idea. And so all of these are with one color, and that's it. This is the extent of it. Now, when you start working, I'm just going to select this, I'm going to delete it. When you start working with drawings, you're going to have multiple parts to one particular project. If you have a technical drawing, you're going to have text, and you're going to have hidden lines and center lines and solid lines. If you have any other project, an engineering project or an architectural project or something of that, so you're going to have many different parts. Let's say a house, you're going to have windows and text and walls and doors and roof and electrical stuff. So you're going to have to somehow organize all those parts. So what you're going to do, we are going to create layers. Basically, layers, what they do, and they allow us, or they help us to keep our drawing organized in different categories on different parts of that object, so that we can organize that overall project and keep it organized. Okay, keep it into different, let's say, sections or different categories or different items, whatever the case happens to be. We just are going to keep it organized. Okay, so how do we do that? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we go right here, and what you have been doing so far is you've been drawing on this called layer 0. This comes with any drawing that you open. Every single drawing that you open must have a layer, and every drawing that you have has layer 0. That's just guaranteeing that we can draw something. Now you'll see that we can create new layers, and we can delete them if we don't want them. We can modify them. You can do some modifications to layer 0. What you cannot do is you cannot remove it, or you cannot rename it. But you can change the color, you can change the line, and so as of right now, we have been using layer 0. Okay, so now we are going to create new layers depending on the exercise that we're going to be working on. Now, just to be on the practical side, okay, and so that we know what we're going to do, I'm actually going to take your assignment, the first one that you are going to find on page 12-9, and I'm going to take that assignment and I'm going to say, okay, I am going to create those layers or add those layers so that I can be ready for my exercise as I learn how to properly set up my layers. So you will see on your exercise that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different layers that you have to set up. Okay, so when I go here to layers, there's different options right here. We'll see those in a little bit, but let's start by setting up our layers. So if you just move your cursor to this icon that says layer properties and click on it, it's going to give you this new window. See, I'm going to move it down a little bit so you can see it clearly right here. This allows us to not only set up or create new layers, but also do all of the different properties, the different needs that each one of those has. Let's say line type, color, line weight, transparencies, whether you want it to plot or not. Okay, so you have 4 different options right here. So you can see there's a green check mark right here. That means that when you're ready with all your layers, you can just click on that and that will make that particular layer current. Okay, so you can delete a layer, you can freeze some of the layers, or the first and most important thing right here is we're going to create new layers. So if I just go here and click, you'll see that it gives me an option, and there's a blinking little dash line right here, and it says layer 1. So that allows me to give it a name. So I'm just gonna say, okay, my first one is gonna be border for your exercises. So if I hit enter and enter again, it gives me the option of going to the next one. So my next one is gonna be center. Hit enter, enter again, gives me the other option. Now I'm gonna have hidden for my hidden lines. Now if I just simply hit enter once, I can go and click again to my new layer icon right here, and it allows me to do the same thing. So the next one is going to be text, hit enter again, and then object lines. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers that I'm going to need for my assignments, drawing B12, I'm sorry, -4A, 4B, and 4C. Okay, those are the 3 exercises we're going to have for this unit. But once I create my different layers that I need, then I have these options right here. And the most important ones that we're going to look at right now are going to be our color, our line type, and our line weight. You can see that there's line weight, there's line type, there's color. We can freeze them, we can lock them, we can turn them on and off. We can do a transparency. That just means your lines are visible 100% or they're kind of faded. Right here, there's plot. So if we just click on one of these, even if you see the lines in other parts of the object in that particular layer, when you print, because you have blocked that right here, it will not print. So you want to make sure that it's left alone just as it is. So once I have this, then I can go and say, okay, my border, according to my instructions and the instructions you're going to have for your exercise, my border is going to be under a color red. So I click under color, just click the little white square right now, and then go select any of these colors. You have multiple colors right here. This right here are the colors that are used most often. So you have some pre-selected right here, and they go by number, and they also have a name. Okay, so in this case, I'm gonna select red, and I'm gonna say okay. See, now you can see right here that the color has changed to red. Then I'm gonna go to my line type. I simply click at that area and my line type is gonna say continuous, so that's continuous. I leave it at that and I hit OK. Then I'm gonna go to my line weight. I click there, line weight, and I will see that I have different options right here. See, I have multiple thicknesses right here, the weight of the lines. And if you recall, on our hand drafting part, we use a 0.3 or a 0.5, a 0.7, a 0.9. That's millimeters, of course. That's how we give the thickness to our lines. And remember that depending on the thickness of the line, different information is represented that way. So in this case, my border tells me that I need to have a 0.7. So 0.70 right here and hit OK. So now I have selected my border with a color red, with a line type continuous, with a line weight of 0.7. So if I look at my center, and I'm going to do the same process for all of them. So once you know how to do one, then it's just a matter of knowing what type of layer you need and the particular properties that you want to give to each one of those. So in this case, for the center line, it tells me it is going to be yellow. So I click on yellow, hit OK. Line type, okay, that is a center, so that's referring to a center line. So I go to select my line type, and you say, wait a minute, the only thing I have right here is a continuous line. So how do I do that? Well, when you don't have the line that you need uploaded right here, then we have to go to this option right here where it says load. So if we click here, it's going to give us this option right here. These are the line types, the different line types that we're going to use. So if I go right here, I simply go and start scrolling down until I find the line that I want. And as you can see, there are tons of different options that I can go through right here. If I just go and click on one of the first ones right here, you'll see that it gives me the name right here. But if I know that I need a line type that starts with the letter C, if I just type C, it automatically takes me to all the lines that begin with the letter C. And it looks like mine will be a center 2. So I go right here, there's center 2 right here. And I said, OK. Once I get right here, though, I want to make sure that I select the line that I want. Because if I just go and said, OK, I loaded that one and I said, OK, see, nothing happened right here. It stayed under continuous because I did not go and say, I want this to be my option at this time. So I will have to select it, hit OK. Now you see that that became a center 2 line type. Okay, then I go to my line weight right here, and that tells me that it's supposed to stay at default. So I simply go and say OK. Now I'm just going to continue the same process with all of the other lines. So my hidden line right here is going to be under cyan. So this is my cyan color right here. Okay, I click on that one. You can see this is cyan right here. Hit OK. Then I'm going to need my line type. And of course, that's going to be a hidden line, which I don't have. So I'm going to have to go load. Click right here, age for any of the lines that start with the letter H, and then I need hidden 2, which is this one right here. That just gives you a different size on the dashes. Okay, so I said hidden 2, hit OK, hit OK. Line weight, and I'm gonna go to my line weight right here, and that says under my line weight, it's 0.4. So I scroll down a little bit, there's 0.4, and I hit OK. My text is going to be under magenta, which is this hot pink right here. Hit OK. Continuous, that's the line type that I want. Hit OK, and it's going to be under default according to my instructions. Then I go to my object lines. That is going to be white, so I simply select white, hit OK. It's going to be a continuous line, and it's going to have a 0.5 line weight. So I'm going to go to 0.5. It's right, I'm sorry, that's 0.5 right here. Hit OK. And so now I have all of my lines. Now where do I start working? It all depends on where I'm gonna be, but I can select any of these. I can set object lines, center line, hidden, and I said I'm just gonna be under object lines. I can go make this my current layer when I move into my working space, and then I simply close this. And so now I can see right here when I go to my layers right here, see this down arrow right here. Now instead of only having the layer 0 that I originally had, now I have border, center, hidden, object lines, and text. So I have all those layers that I just created all available right here. So once I create my layers, then I am set to go with my drawing, whatever project it is that I'm going to be working on. Now there's a couple of other settings that we need to have that I'm going to add right now. Okay, so I'm going to add something called my units and my limits. Okay, so what are those? Basically your units, it's the way that you're going to input your information. I believe I mentioned this before, but just in case I didn't, there's going to be different five different types, I'm sorry, of units that you can use for your exercises. Okay, and so if I simply go and type units, enter, didn't recognize units. See, when you type units, you will get this window right here, and if you click right here, you have architectural, decimal, engineering, fractional, and scientific. Out of all these 5, only architectural and engineering allow you to actually input your information in feet and inches. So if you need to input 5 feet 6 inches, you're only going to be able to do it under architectural or engineering. All the other ones are unit-less. So if you type 5, it's 5 units, and you must know those units that you're working with. So let's say that I use architectural right here. Okay, that gives me my precision, gives me my angle type right here, degrees, minutes, and seconds, or decimal degrees, or gradients, radians, whatever the case happens to be right here. So I get to select my units depending on what I need. And you can see right here that it's always going to be inches. So when you type 6 feet 6 inches, you have to make sure that you type 6, then the symbol for feet, as you can see right here, 6 feet, and then the inches. Okay, so those are your units. It's very simple to set up. It's just knowing which units we need for the exercises. Most of your exercises here are going to be under decimal, and we're just going to type in the numbers. There's 1 or 2 exercises where we are going to be doing architectural, and then we have to set that up. But you will be directed as to which units you're going to need. But that's how you set up your units. It's very simple. So I'm just going to leave it at decimal for now. This gives you the precision. I'm going to go to 2 decimal values, and I'm just going to say OK. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to type the second part, limits. Enter. And you can see down here, I'll explain to you in a minute what it is. Limits specify the lower left corner, so we always use our 0, 0 or our origin as our starting point. So I simply acknowledge by hitting enter, and then it tells me specify upper right corner of my limits. That means how big do I want to go. So if you set up your limits to the size of paper that you're going to be using. So if I'm using 8.5 by 11, then I can set up my units for the upper right corner at 11 and 8.5, because that's the piece of paper, or 8.5 by 11 if I'm looking at the portrait direction. Remember, the X is, the first number is always X, the second number is always the Y. So if I just know that I'm going to be working with 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, I can go 8.5 comma 11 and then hit enter. That gives me my area. That is my preferred, that is my most accurate area where I'm going to be working. Now if you have a piece of paper that it's 8.5 by 11 and you're drawing there, you're not going to be able to draw anything outside. It is not the same thing with AutoCAD. You can go outside. It's just that the functionality of the program in itself is going to be, the functionality of the program inside those parameters, inside that 8.5 by 11 is going to be a lot better than if you are outside. It sort of limits the function of the program. You still go outside, but it's not as efficient as it is inside. And once you draw something outside, then you regenerate your drawing and then it automatically works again within those parameters that you extend to. Okay, so those are, so now we have our layers. We know how to set up our layers, we know how to set up our units and our limits. So that is going to be what we have on this video. Okay, so that is not a super long video. Then on the next one we are going to actually apply the different functions of the layers, and then we're going to work on our exercises. I'll work out some of the exercises, and then we'll also look at the circle, the polygon, the object snap tracking on your status bar along with the line weight. Okay, so we'll continue soon in the next video.